What's going on? It's your boy Miguel, and I'm out here in nature because it just felt nice. It's a nice day. I still got my hood on though because my ears get cold. So, anyways, let's just crack into what we're supposed to talk about today. We're going to talk about morning routines, all right? Should you have one? What does a good one look like? How do you know if you're doing it right? What's the point? We're going to talk about all of that stuff in great detail so you can get started on a routine as fast as possible and see if it is right for you. So if you're completely unaware, what exactly is a morning routine? So a morning routine is basically, it's a sequence of events where you already have it set up, like it's predetermined. And the second you wake up, that is when your morning routine starts. And it doesn't have to be anything like super obnoxious, like, all right, so in the morning, I gotta hop out of bed with my right hand, and then I gotta do 2 somersaults. Like, nah, it doesn't have to be anything ridiculous like that. But you do want repetitiveness out of your routine though, but you want it to be simple, to the point, and something that gets you started. The entire point of a morning routine is to get your day going and start it with a win. There's a really good book called The Winner's Effect that basically says that once you start winning, the neurology in your body just starts going for more and more wins. So if your first goal in the day is to just get through your morning routine nice and smoothly, then you're starting off the day with the win, you're building momentum, and then you're naturally going to just start cascading to every next thing throughout your day. And winning breeds winning. The second point of a morning routine is to basically get your mind started and ready for the day. Not everybody is a morning person. I personally am not, but I do manage to wake up around 4:30 to 5 a.m. every single morning. And the reason I'm able to do that is largely because of my morning routine. Because I know exactly what I'm going to do when I wake up, it makes it a lot easier for me to get up, because there's not that like mental process going on of like, okay, like what do I have to do? What's next? Instead of all that noise and me just like not knowing what needs to get done, I roll out of bed and the first thing I do is get started on my morning routine, and that in and of itself wakes me up and gets me started and ready to go on to the next thing. Another thing that helps with that is having a list, but that's for another time. Now that we know the point of having a morning routine, what actually makes up a good morning routine? All right, so you want things in your morning routine that have a couple of elements to them. You want them to be habits that you've seen from other successful people that they have in their morning routines, literally just copy them. And you want them to have an element of something that's going to basically wake you up. There are a few things that can wake you up. That could be a coffee. It's also proven that drinking a cold glass of water is also known to wake you up. Maybe you could take some vitamins. Anything that's like good for you that you can like knock out really quick. That's really good to have on your morning routine because it's that repetitiveness, and it's just good to have there so you can just check something off. Boom, it's a win. I'll give you an example of a morning routine. This is the one that I currently use right now. So I wake up, brush and floss my teeth, walk downstairs, grab a glass of water, and take vitamin D. Vitamin D is known to not only wake you up, but prevent any sort of sickness. I haven't been sick in months, and I really believe it has a lot to do with the amount of vegetables that I eat and the amount of vitamin D that I take on a daily basis. I then take my ass back to my room, and I write down one thing from the previous day that I thought was either a positive thing or was just the best part about that day. I then journal for 1 page. I meditate for 10 to 20 minutes. And then I read from anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. So I'll talk to you about like why certain things are in my routine, so you can get a feel for like what makes up a good routine in general. So I told you why I drink the water and the vitamin D, But why do I write down something positive from the day before? The reason I do that is because my brain, like, this is just personal for me. This is not something you have to do or something that may even be relatable to you. But personally, me, I have a predisposition to negative thinking, and something that helps is if the first thing that I do in the day is I have to think of something positive from the previous day, it just gets my mind into a positive mode so I can be more optimistic throughout the rest of my day. The next thing I do is journal. There's been numerous studies on journaling, and one of the benefits of keeping a journal is that it sort of like empties out your mind from like the massive clutter. Like if you had to think of your mind as like a bunch of random assortment of papers, like every thought is just like another paper and they're just stacking on top of each other. If you just take the time to journal, it's kind of like taking those papers, organizing them a little neatly, and then if you actually want to get organized and like keep like track of your thoughts and like what you have to do in the day, that's like taking those organized papers and putting them in filing cabinets. So you'd be like, man, like I'm annoyed about this thing, there's this other thing I was thinking about, just journaling random thoughts, just one random thought line that doesn't really make sense to anybody else if they were to actually read it, but it's there. The other thing I actually forgot to mention that I do right after that is I write down my goals. The reason I do that is because it keeps them on the front of my mind. The more you write down your goals, the more energy you put into them, the more likely you are to achieve them. Because all of that energy, like whatever you... There's a saying, where your mind goes, energy flows. So if first thing in the morning, every single morning, I put my mind on one thing positive, I unclear my mind, and then I put my mind directly back on my goals, then I basically put my mind on positivity and then put my mind on my goals. And in my head, that's just like, it's a no-brainer that I'm gonna eventually hit every single one of those goals because I'm doing that on a daily basis. Also, I got that from Brian Tracy, and I got that saying from this guy named Preston Smiles. I'm sure he got it from somewhere else though, because I've seen it pretty much everywhere after that. Right after that, I meditate. The reason I meditate every single morning is, once again, it basically calms your mind down. Not only that, it helps a lot with focus. Because essentially what you're doing when you're meditating is every single time your mind like trails off and tries to go on a thought, you're bringing it back to the present moment and bringing it back to your breath. So throughout your daily life, whenever your mind just starts wandering off, or you're stringing on a negative thought, like you're latching onto it, instead of like sticking to it and like that ruining your day, with meditation, you're able to come right back to the present moment because you've had that practice of doing that on a daily basis. Not only that, but it really does prep you for the day and makes it a lot easier to just kind of sail through the day and get things done, right? And lastly, I read for 30 minutes to an hour. Honestly, I believe everyone should be reading. I think if you're not, you're kind of just like wasting your time. There's dudes with billions and millions of dollars who, in their last breath, decided that they were going to release all their secrets for eternal happiness, eternal wealth, eternal health. And instead of charging millions of dollars for that information, they charge anywhere from $4 to maybe like $20 range. Usually it's under $10. And instead of purchasing and going through that information, a lot of times it's on audiobooks too, you're gonna not use that information. That's a waste, bro. That's an absolute waste, and you're fucking stupid if you're not doing that. It's just fucking, no, you're not stupid, but that action is stupid. I take that back. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. Come here. But no, really, if you're not reading, you're honestly you're wasting your time, dude. At the very least, have an audiobook, like blast that in the car. But I'm running off on a tangent a little bit. I digress. I read in the mornings. You don't have to, but it really does help. And after that, I go after my to-do list and start just getting things done that I had planned the day before. That's my morning routine. You don't have to copy it exactly. Maybe take something out. Maybe you're like, fuck this guy, I don't want to meditate, I'm gonna do something else. You're more than welcome to, but having a morning routine definitely does get your day started with tons of momentum. Momentum is one of those things that you you don't really know until you have it, and you don't really know just how powerful momentum is until you have it and then you lose it. That's how powerful it is, because the second it's gone and you just had it before, you're just like, what happened? Like, I was just doing this, like I was grinding, what happened? And a large portion of it is just like a loss of momentum, and having a morning routine in there that you're constantly doing, like no matter what's going on, as long as you still have that morning routine there and you're still tackling those things, then the momentum's kind of gonna stay there regardless, just because you're constantly getting things done every single morning. A morning routine is a million times better than coffee. It's like if coffee and crack had a baby and you didn't get any of the negative side effects from crack. So coffee and like good crack had a baby, it would be a morning routine. That is how powerful it is, and that is why you should do it. But don't do bad crack. Only do good crack and coffee mixed together. All right? Peace.